If you're a business owner and you've been asking yourself, how can I grow my business revenue this year? But the answers keep involving selling more products, finding new clients, working longer hours, then this video is going to completely change the way you think about growing your business. Okay, because in the next few minutes, I'm going to show you how I personally grew my own business revenue by over 20% in the last year without finding a single new customer, without launching a new product, and without working a single extra hour, to be honest with you. And it's because most business owners never think to do what I'm going to show you in this video. And it's basically how to build a second revenue stream inside your business passively every month while you sleep, while you're on holiday, okay, and whilst you're focused on what you do best. And it's simply achievable because you're going to use the money you've already earned. So if you stay until the end, I'm going to give you access to my free macro training showing you how to do this, where I walk you through the step-by-step process to building your own portfolio with a rules-based system. Now, before I show you how this actually works, I want to be completely honest with you guys about something, because I think it's really important we understand why most business owners just never really discover this. So the truth is, pretty much every business owner I ever speak to has the same problem. They got money sitting in their bank account, hundreds of thousands of pounds at a time, and it's doing absolutely nothing. And every year that money is losing its value to inflation because it's sitting in a current account, earning no interest, okay? And then when they start thinking about growing their revenue, they all think about the same things. More sales, more marketing, more staff, more services, more hours, more stress. And if you're a business owner and you already feel stretched, you feel like you're the engine of everything in your business, that's quite an exhausting internal conversation you're having, right? Because the only lever you know how to pull is one that requires more of yourself. Okay, but here's the truth. Your business has already generated the capital to create a secondary income stream. It's just sitting in your bank account and it's just not working for you. So the most overlooked growth strategy available to any business owner is not selling more, it's just investing what you've already earned. Now, I want to tell you something about my personal situation. Last year, I grew my business revenue by over 20%, not by finding any new customers, not by expanding into new markets, and not by doing anything different in my day-to-day operations. All I did was simply invest my business savings into a diversified portfolio of stocks, bonds, and commodities for a corporate investment account whilst I was running my business, whilst I was focused on serving my clients, whilst I was doing everything that I normally do. And this meant that my investments into companies like Amazon, Google, Tesla, Microsoft, gold, treasuries, meant my money was working for me every day like clockwork. And the growth of my portfolio was generating real returns on my capital passively every single month. And it's completely changed the way I think about running my business for years now, okay? Because my business revenue is no longer completely dependent on me. There's a second revenue stream running in the background, generating real returns without my time, without my effort, without really any daily involvement or my attention. And I've spent thousands of hours studying macroeconomics, capital flows, and the professional data investors use to build and manage their portfolios. And I've educated thousands of investors and business owners through my private investment communities. And the one thing I know for certain is the business owners who build real lasting wealth are not the ones who work harder than anyone else. They're the ones who just work smarter and understand the power of leveraging what they've already accumulated, making their capital work as hard as they do. And that's what this video is all about. Right, so here's exactly what we're gonna cover. Firstly, I'm gonna show you how your business bank account is pretty much the most expensive account you're ever gonna own, and why money sitting in there is literally costing you way more than you realize, okay? Secondly, I'm gonna explain what a corporate investment account actually is, how it works, and why more and more business owners are using them to create a second revenue stream inside their business. Thirdly, I'm gonna show you how to think about your business, okay? Building a diversified investment portfolio with your investment revenue, okay? The same framework that I've used and I've taught thousands of other people to use is the same framework that professional investors use to grow their capital consistently year after year, all right? And then fourthly, I'm gonna show you why this exit strategy most business owners never consider is what's going to change everything about how you relate to your business. So I can promise you by the end of this video, you're gonna have a completely new framework for thinking about growing your business revenue. And this one doesn't require, as I said, more sales, more clients, or more of your time, to be completely honest with you. Once it's set up, it's done, and it's gonna work passively, okay? So let's get started on the most important shift that you need to make starting today. So let me paint you guys a picture, right? The average successful business owner in the UK has anywhere between 200,000, 500,000 pounds sitting in the bank, okay, at any given time. Now that capital, they have worked extremely hard to generate. And in most cases, that money is in a current account earning no interest. Meanwhile, inflation is running at 3%, 4%, and sometimes even higher, okay? So in real terms, that capital is losing value every single year to inflation. Not dramatically, just quietly, slowly, okay? And over time, that really does compound. Now imagine I put that 300,000 into a portfolio, okay, diversified, okay? And this is investing in different sectors, okay, and different asset classes that combine together, okay? So we have stocks in the technology sector, for an example, where we own Amazon, Google, Microsoft, Tesla, Nvidia, Apple, okay? All these companies every day as their share prices are rising, their money's making our money go up in value, okay? We're making a profit off of the innovation, the technology of other companies. And then we combine it with other asset classes like treasuries, okay, like commodities, like gold, mining ETFs, like semiconductors. So we're really getting outsized returns, not just in the stock markets, but in other areas of the economy, but they balance the portfolio to bring down the actual volatility, okay? And let's say your portfolio is now making 22% returns, okay? And we backtested this portfolio as an example, okay? Going back to 2016 to 2026, this is like a 10-year return, okay? 22%, okay? Now imagine if you're literally making an extra 45,000, 100,000, depending on how much you have accumulated in your bank account. For some of you, that's hundreds of thousands of pounds, 200K or more if you're sitting on $1 million in cash, right? And you've just added extra value to your business, okay? Without a single sale, without a single new client, okay? Without adding an extra hour of your time, because once your portfolio is set up and you know how to look at, okay, what is the average volatility of my portfolio? What is the actual long-term return, okay? You can literally start to build a passive income stream every single year whilst you focus on everything else. And honestly, it's not a fantasy. That is what happens when business capital is deployed with a clear framework instead of just sitting there idle in the bank account, going down and losing its value to inflation. So most business owners are familiar with a personal investment account, ISAs, regular pensions, or maybe just a regular trading account, right? But far fewer people understand the power of a limited company and how you can actually set up an investment account through your corporation, okay? So a corporate investment account literally allows your business to invest its earnings that's sitting usually in a bank account directly into the financial markets. So you can buy stocks, individual companies, ETFs. So you have investments across a multitude of companies at once. You're diversified in a certain sector. For an example, you can buy treasury bonds. So you can buy US government bonds, for an example. We could buy commodities like gold, silver, okay? And we can buy all sorts of type of funds, right? So there's a massive variety of investments that you can make as a company. And the returns flow back to your business, okay? And if it's structured properly, the tax treatment is far more favorable than drawing a salary or investing personally, okay? Now, I'm not a financial advisor, all right? And the specifics of your situation will obviously depend on your circumstances, but the principles are pretty much straightforward. Your business has capital, and that capital can be invested, okay? And those investments will generate your business real returns, okay? And as those returns grow, your business revenue is going to expand, okay? Without you requiring any more daily activity in your business. It literally just runs in the background. Now, here's the question that most business owners have at this point, right? It's like, well, what do I actually invest in? And how do I know when to buy and hold the investments I've put my money into? Like, is there like a framework, a rules-based framework that helps me understand where the markets are going, where the economies are going, okay? And here's the truth. Most people try to invest without a framework, and they always end up doing two things. They buy when the market feels exciting. So when they hear about SpaceX has just been released, or the markets are breaking all-time highs, for an example, which usually means they buy near the top, okay? Or they sell when the market feels scary. There's some news headlines. You hear about a war in Iran. The markets have a temporary sell-off, okay? And investors start selling near the bottom. Everything is driven by emotions, okay? Everything is driven by noise, okay? And when you're being controlled by the news headlines, okay, and you don't actually have a framework, a rules-based macro framework that's actually driven by hard data, okay, it can be very difficult to feel like you have some control over what's happening with your investments. And this is why I educate all the business owners on a macro framework that replaces all of that uncertainty, okay? It's a clear, rules-based, data-driven strategy that has clear rules in place with clarity that tells you what to do in specific macroeconomic environments. Because you have to understand that the financial markets, right, and the stock markets, they're linked, okay? For an example, the financial markets are driven by economic growth expectations. So when the economy is growing, corporate revenues are growing and profits are growing, and therefore the stock markets are going to go higher, okay? And in reverse, if we have an economy that's contracting, then revenues are going to fall for companies, profits will fall, and stock prices will fall. So I educate people how to read the most important macroeconomic data releases, okay, so you can understand how to predict where the economy is heading for the next 6 to 12 months. This is literally the same data that central banks use, governments use, investment banks use. This is hard macro data that once you understand, it gives you absolute clarity over where the markets are going, so you can anticipate the returns in your portfolio, okay? So you know where your portfolio is heading. And this basically tells you a story which is publicly available, okay? But you just need to know how to find the data and interpret it. And this data comes out every single month, okay? So we look at business surveys, which tell us where the earnings of companies are going, for an example, okay? We look at consumer surveys. Very important. It tells us the confidence of consumer and how it drives economic growth and literally corporate earnings, okay? So you have this data every single month in real time. We tell you where the yield curve is going, and this is the bond market, and this literally predicts the stock markets with an unbelievable accuracy. All right, we look at things like real yields, which drive the earnings of companies. We look at interest rate decisions by central banks, so you can see where interest rates are going to go. That massively affects the stock markets. And together, all this data basically gives you a complete picture, okay? Not a prediction, okay? A real framework, okay? So when other people are just kind of like guessing and predicting where the markets are going, you have a rules-based system, a rules-based strategy, which is telling you historically, 85% of the time, when this data is telling you this, the markets are going to go here, okay? And once you're operating from a rules-based macro framework, you stop making emotional decisions, you stop feeling the uncertainty, and you start making structured, calculated decisions, okay, the same way the professional markets do. And that is what this macro framework gives you, because once you have this framework, you're not operating in the dark. You're operating with clarity, you're operating with certainty. You can make fast, reliable investment decisions built inside of a portfolio, which is structured to perform well in specific economic environments, okay? So it makes you feel confident about the returns you're gonna get in your portfolio. So I want you to imagine something, right? Just imagine for a moment, you wake up on a Monday morning, okay? And imagine your business is running, okay? Your team is working extremely hard, all right, as they should be. Your clients are being served. Then quietly in the background, okay, Amazon is up 3% in a week, okay? Microsoft earnings are being released. Google's advertising revenue is beating expectations. And your corporate investment portfolio has just generated more passive income in a month, and this actually happens sometimes and is an amazing feeling, than your business actually makes from a day or week or month in sales, okay? And not because you did anything, just because you set up an intelligent framework, okay? And you deployed your capital with intention, okay? And now you let the world's best companies work for you. Honestly, it's not a dream. I've experienced it, okay? And that's what becomes possible when you've retained your business earnings, and instead of it sitting idle in a bank account, generating nothing, now you're generating real returns, okay? Now look at this portfolio for an example over the last 10 years. Let's say you started with 500K sitting in your account. Look at the returns year by year. So you can see the S&P 500, which is the average stock market return. In this year, you're making 100K in a year, 20% above the stock market, okay? The next year, you're making another 100K, okay? And then you're making 36% returns, 25% returns, 28% returns. Yeah, you get the odd year where the markets have down years. That's completely, and it's normal. But there are actually strategies when the markets have down years that you will see the down years coming because of the macro data, and then you can adjust your portfolio to be able to ride the waves. Okay, then you're making 38% returns in a year, 23%, 39%, 50% returns in a year. This is how much this portfolio is up right now, and we're in June in 2026. So a lot of the time you'll make beyond 20% returns, okay? Now, just think about if you're a business owner and your money's just basically sitting there right now and it's not actually doing anything. You don't actually need the revenue, okay, at this moment in time. You don't need the savings that's in the bank account. You're hard at work in your business. Just imagine how much more peace of mind you would have to know that you're making that much revenue, okay, and you're not doing anything. You've literally just set up a framework and you're making hundreds of thousands of pounds a year, okay, in extra revenue. And this is real. I've experienced it. I've helped business owners experience it. And it is an amazing experience when you actually set this up and have this running in the background. Okay, because you're sitting on capital that you've already earned, all right? And now you're making as much money in a year without selling more, without actually working more, okay? Without adding any extra pressure to what you've already built. Now, I want to talk about something that most business owners never really talk about enough, right? And that is the stress of just being the engine of your business, right? Because I know this from experience, that the reality for most business owners is that if you stop, your revenue stops, right? If you take a holiday sometimes, depending on your business model, your business will feel it, right? If you get sick, everything can slow down sometimes. And that pressure never really goes away, okay? Because everything is dependent on you sometimes. Okay, that could be your time, your presence, your energy, and it can feel like a very vulnerable position to be in, put it that way. And not just financially, even emotionally, right? And here's what changes when your business has an investment portfolio generating positive real returns, as I showed you. For the first time, your business revenue is no longer gonna entirely depend on you, all right? And once that happens, now there's a second engine that's quietly running, okay? Generating real returns, whether you're working or not, whether you're present or not, whether you're having your best month in business or not, or even your worst month in business, okay? And that changes your actual relationship with your business completely, because now you have options, okay? You're not feeling trapped sometimes or feeling stuck. You're not dependent on one revenue stream that only exists when you're pouring yourself into it, right? You've built now an asset that grows independently of your business, and one that really does compound over time, okay? And once this is set up and done, okay, if it's built consistently, you will build the financial freedom at some point to completely remove yourself from your business if you want to, okay? And this allows you to focus on really what you love It takes pressure away from every client you interact with. It takes the stress away from slow months in business, and you can actually spend more time with the people that matter to you in your life. And that's really what this framework is all about. Okay. It's about having optionality. Okay. And sometimes this can almost feel like an exit strategy for most business owners, because it's not like you don't even have to sell your business or find a buyer. You're basically building a parallel income stream. And honestly, it's so powerful. All right. So that's the business. That's when business can become like a choice rather than a necessity, to be honest with you. You can do what you love, and you can do it because you're passionate about it, especially for people who are watching this video who have serious capital sitting in their bank accounts. Like, once you get that working, business can become more enjoyable because there's less pressure, right? And that's what financial freedom actually looks like, right? It just starts with having your capital you've already earned really start working for you. If what I've described today really sounds like something that you feel like you're looking for, right? There's one thing you need to do to understand anything before you take action, okay? And that's how to invest with a framework, okay? The framework I've shown you here on this macro dashboard, on this portfolio analysis, is exactly, okay, how I help business owners build real wealth when they're investing, okay? And it's not about blowing the returns out the water, okay? It's not about timing the markets. It's not about luck. It's literally a structure, okay? Putting together a well-diversified portfolio across stocks, commodities, okay, bonds, treasuries, balancing a portfolio that still gets superior returns to the stock markets, okay? And this literally can give you unbelievable freedom, okay? And remember, this is all overlaid on the macro data I was showing you as well. So you know exactly where the economy is going. So once you have this framework, okay, it is a game changer, honestly. It's rules-based, okay? It's fast to implement. It's done independent of your time. Anybody can learn this, okay? I did learn this from hedge fund managers like Ray Dalio. I studied his education. Goldman Sachs investors, I studied this. And honestly, even if you've never studied macroeconomics or you've never learned anything about the financial markets, it's just knowledge and information. It's just like running a business. You didn't know how to run a business at first, and now you do. So once you learn this and once you have this skill and this knowledge, it's fast to implement and it's easy because it's rules based. Okay, and it takes away emotion. Okay, and we can actually like engineer a portfolio for you that actually targets your specific level of risk that you want to take, your specific level of return. If you need a certain amount of income from your portfolio every month, we can structure it in that way so you get certain income that comes in and pays for certain expenses, and then you can have the rest in other assets that continue to grow. Like, there's so much optionality around building your own portfolio. And once you realize just how powerful this is, honestly, it changes the way you look at the markets, changes the way you look at your business, and it changes your own relationship to yourself because it builds so much confidence in what you can do. Okay, so I've put together a free macro training on this where I walk you through the exact framework step by step. Okay, this is a new AI generated platform which I've built. So like, you can build portfolios fast, and I literally do it with you side by side to help you get to the goal that you want to achieve, okay? Without noise, without guesswork, and without any emotional decisions, to be completely honest with you, okay? So if you want to build yourself a portfolio for consistent, reliable returns without the noise, without guesswork, and without any emotional decisions, click the link beneath the video, okay? It's going to take you to macromarket.co.uk for your free training, okay? And once you watch it, it's going to transform the way you see your own business and investing. And hopefully I'll speak to you. We can do a deep dive analysis on your company and your business. I can walk you through how I could potentially help you, if I can be of any value to you. And I just think the training in general will just really open your mind. So please go watch it. And thank you for watching this video. Hopefully you stay for more videos and more education. And hopefully I'll be seeing you, speaking with you soon. and helping you build your own investment portfolio. Take care, guys.